My victory shall be sweeter than honey.
Welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Controller, a series where I, GamingTopTen, will talk about the background aspects of video games. The game footage that we'll play when I have nothing important to show is from Smite. It's a pretty good MOBA, but one of the problems that I have with it is that you often see what your teammates are doing and you become infuriated when they do something really stupid. The footage you see here is from the official launch day of Smite, and I have to say it's probably the best match of Smite I've ever played. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy that I accidentally had fraps on while this match was happening. Okay, so let's open Beyond the Controller with a very broad and important topic: cheating. What counts as cheating and what does not? For single-player games, cheating is in the eye of the beholder and only affects oneself. This is not only true with whether or not something counts as cheating in general, but whether or not that cheating is reprehensible. It is not a complete contradiction of thought to admit one is bending the rules a little in a single-player game and not feel guilt in doing so. One person may argue that a cheat code is not cheating since it's programmed in the game, and another may say it is because it explicitly says cheat and will often drastically change the game. Those in the former category can still be split on whether or not it is reasonable to use the cheat codes, and those in the latter category can be split when it comes to whether or not that cheat code is okay because of a lack of malicious intent, or bad because it changes what challenges a gamer will face and is a compromise of self-integrity. Regardless of the possibilities, there really is no wrong answer regarding solo experiences. If you want to make it so that you have perfect grinding in Tony Hawk, that's your prerogative. Some games might argue otherwise though. In Vector Man for the Sega Genesis, you cannot finish the game to see the credits if the game detects a cheat. In Masters of Orion 2, the game refuses to put your score on the scoreboard if you won through cheating, and promptly informs you of this. Dragon Age Origins Awakening has an indirect yet hilarious spin on this. At one point you're captured and your gear is confiscated. Later, enemies you fight are wearing your old gear. Gee, I sure hope you didn't mod the game to have near unbreakable armor. What about modifications anyway? Rather than having a built-in cheat code for the game, many games let you externally change the contents of the game for your own pleasure, some more easily than others. It can make the game harder, easier, more fun, whatever, but I consider myself a purist and avoid mods almost whenever I can. Why? Aside from a dirty feeling I get in the back of my mind while playing unofficial tacked-on material, modding can muddle the original experience. Let's take Skyrim. When I mention Skyrim, do you think of slaying giant tank engines such as Thomas, or dressing up as the Animal Crossing villager? No, you think of dragons, civil wars, and snow. People that mod a game right out of the box are much harder to discuss the game with if they use certain mods, because use of these mods can possibly alter the entire experience. Speaking of changing the experience, I consider achievement modding to be unreasonable. Remember how I said the impact of self-cheating is limited to oneself? Well, actually, in a twisted kind of way, achievement modding not only deprives the user of the joy of actually earning the achievement and instead just gives it to them, but it also effectively makes the achievements meaningless on a social level. To give an example, let's explore one of my favorite multiplayer games, Team Fortress 2. They have achievement servers full of idle enemies and other tools to help you get the achievements. Doing these felt great at first, but afterwards I felt a little guilt. Not too much though, as though the threshold to earn them was lower, I was still working for them, comparable to going to a summer camp to earn merit badges in archery and climbing. However, one day I joined an achievement server where it actually gave me all the achievements out at that time for no effort whatsoever, and I felt horrible. It also left a mark on my Steam account, achievements I know I didn't earn, achievements I swear I did earn, and achievements that I have no doubt earned by now do not have dates unlocked next to them, branding them as unofficial. It's an irreversible situation and I can't say I don't deserve it. As for the social aspect of achievements, I really find it disheartening to work towards a milestone on any game only to have people assume I cheated when I actually earned it. It feels nice on a personal level, but extrinsic pride is non-existent. To close on achievements, is looking up how to complete achievements cheating? While nowhere near as satisfying as it appearing without prior knowledge, I would say no. This is because some developers with an interesting sense of humor enjoy making cryptic achievements. Team Fortress 2 has an achievement called Photostrokia, where you must provide a killed enemy a picture of you taunting while ubercharged as a heavy. If you are an ubercharged heavy, the very last thing on your mind unless you are hunting for this achievement is standing perfectly still and not firing at anything. Even worse, Deep Undercover requires you to use a certain spy cloak and kill the same enemy in the same area 3 times in a single life. I'm pretty sure I've seen this happen only once, and it was on a server where my team was full of idiots, including a sniper who walked to the front lines thrice. Because such achievements are bound to exist, I fail to see a problem with looking for them. Sure, you might feel gorgeous if you actually obtain it naturally, but the odds to payout ratio is comparable to the lottery. But achievements are not what you want to hear about all day, right? You want to hear about multiplayer cheating. Since we've already talked about Team Fortress 2, I'll continue to use it as our example. Aimbot? Cheating. It gives you perfect aim. Critical hit hacks? While I doubt their continued existence, it would be cheating because triple damage is annoying. Speed hacks? A heavy capturing an intelligence in 2 fort within 20 seconds is guaranteed to raise an eyebrow. A reasonable person can see any of these as obvious cheating, so let's cut the chatter and get into more interesting things, modifying the game code in a way that presents an advantage over those that don't have the modification. What if I told you I modified Team Fortress 2's sound effects so that instead of having the normal decloaking sound for spies, it was a sound clip of me screaming, "Oh my god, it's a spy!" at the top of my lungs. It's not detectable since it's based on the actual computer of the user and does not make an objective appearance on the server, but I have yet to meet a person who responded with, "That's really cool, I should do that for my game and rarely be backstabbed again." However, there's one very popular mod that grants users an advantage: custom HUDs. Your HUD, if you do not know, is all the information that shows up on your screen: health, ammo, etc. There are two types of custom HUDs: aesthetic, which makes the character in the bottom left corner have a kitty face or be a variant of Kirby or something similar, and practical, which brings the health and ammo closer to the center of the screen, shrinks certain information so you can see the game easier, has enemy health bars be in numbers rather than a fill of a meter, and other bits such as letting you see how much damage your last shot did for an extended period of time. The former group is fine, more power to you if you like cats. The latter is objectively cheating. Having your health closer to your crosshairs allows you to pay attention to it faster and return to the game sooner. Shrinking data to let you see more lets you notice things you wouldn't without the modification. Knowing damage numbers as a spy can let you know just the perfect moment to take the shot or relay information to local teammates. And knowing how much damage you did recently allows you to shoot first without spending time trying to read a number floating in the air as you plan an escape route, and allows you to give your damage information to the team without having to remember it. If Gabe Newell, managing director of Valve, thought it was not cheating, it would be cheating. If everyone on Earth thought it was not cheating, it would be cheating. If I thought it was not cheating and redacted discussion of it from my video, it would still be cheating. But I don't fool myself like that. I went to different people around the internet, including YouTube videos made by TF2 users who use practical custom HUDs and the Steam-powered user forums, and including the occasional remark calling me retarded without reading the discussion, I heard nothing viable. You know what? My name is GamingTopTen, and I'm going to give you one really quick. Top 10 worst arguments for why practical custom HUDs are not cheating. Number 10. It's not cheating. Accept it and move on. Yes, drink the Kool-Aid. This is fairly low because it doesn't require a lot of thinking and isn't even remotely convincing. The only way people could accept this is if they simply wanted to be cool because of insecurity. Number 9. All of the pros use them. Similar to number 10, this is simply a logical fallacy. Whether or not a pro uses a custom HUD for an advantage does not make it cheating. Again, hardly convincing. Number 8. If Valve didn't want us to use them, why do they have a specific folder for HUD modifications? Why would they allow them in SV Pure 2? Maybe they have the folder because they wanted you to use the HUDs that don't change the layout? SV Pure 2 makes it so that almost everything unnatural to TF2 is removed, but custom HUDs are not. This is another argument from authority, but a more convincing one because it's the makers of the game. Remember, one method of cheating is using an external modification of the game code in a way that grants an advantage over those who do not install it. Valve could say the Scout is actually limbless, it wouldn't make it so he actually is. Am I saying I understand more than Valve on this subject? Well, yes, since I feel it is apparently obvious how it provides an advantage. I even gave a few examples earlier in the video. Speaking of modifying game code. Number 7. It does not actually modify the code. Therefore, it is not cheating. When I talk to people about custom HUDs, I said it modifies the game code, to which they say it does not. This is mostly my fault since I didn't specify what I meant. It apparently doesn't change the source code, the language used by source games, but it does impact the binary code, the basic set of ones and zeros that are the building blocks for all computer functions. How do I know this? Without changing the binary code to some degree, no change is possible. The idea it does not modify the game code is an argument in semantics to detract from my main point of change. Number 6. It's like using auto-reload. Surely you don't think that's cheating. In Team Fortress 2, auto-reload is an option in the game, as in, you can go into the game options and toggle it. It modifies the game, but internally. Not cheating and not comparable to custom HUDs. The worst comparison of this degree is probably comparing using a different loadout to using these custom HUDs, which is like saying focusing your swing in baseball to hit it somewhere else is akin to taking steroids. Team Fortress 2 even has a minimal HUD as an option, which shrinks data so you can see more of the battle. I use it, and I like it. It modifies the game code, but it is within the game's means. Smite has a built-in HUD editor, which is also pretty cool if you want to use it. Really though, is it unfair to assume that in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, people should fight with different abilities for the game rather than whoever can find the best mods? Number 5. It does not affect the skill of the player, or the advantage is too small to count. Yes, an advantage can only be as good as the person using it. That said, it doesn't mean it isn't an advantage. If I hacked Team Fortress 2 to make my rocket launcher do 2% more damage, it would not affect how well I actually aim, and I would rarely get more kills, but I doubt you would not call that cheating. Number 4. It gives the same information, just in a different way. Yes, in a different way. A much faster, clearer, longer, more in-depth way. This one should be painfully obvious. If you did not seek these advantages in a different way, there is a very good chance you would have not downloaded the Practical Custom HUD in the first place. Those things can become pretty minimalistic and barren. Number 3. Looking at your health requires you to look at the screen, which is also where you shoot. No advantage given. So looking at different points of the screen does not affect how well you aim, huh? Here's a montage of me trying to snipe while focusing on my health bar. These examples were an absurd case since nobody spends that much time looking at their health, but it's no more absurd than the argument in question. Normal humans have difficulty focusing with their eyes on two different things at the same time. Number 2. It isn't cheating if anyone can do it. Let the viewers take note that this man thinks it's impossible to cheat if other people, with enough effort, can accomplish it themselves. What about aimbot? Any schmuck can fire up the old Yahoo and install that. What about the foghorn decloak sound effect I mentioned earlier? That's not unfair, right? What about tracking the enemy's real-life location, jumping on an airplane, following him onto a game, then breaking into his house and ending his life mid-game? Anyone could do that if they were willing to go to jail for it. It isn't modifying the code, but I'm still pretty certain murdering your opponent is cheating. Before you make such an argument, make sure it doesn't encompass things that clearly contradict it. This argument, should a person choose to believe it, can lead to the worst argument for practical custom HUDs of all time. Number 1. It's the other guy's fault for not using a practical custom HUD himself. So it's another person's fault for not joining in on the cheating fest with you? This argument is similar to the previous one, but has that extra nerve of blaming the victim. I bet you tell people that if they don't like your driving, they should get off the sidewalk. There's not much more I could say about this response without getting into a fury. Blaming the victim. Well, I never. In the end, a custom HUD is like a spray. It can be fun in games, but it can also be used maliciously to gain an advantage. That's more than enough about custom HUDs. Let's move on to massive multiplayer online games. You know, the ones where you can interact with hundreds of people at once? Scratch that. Where you can see hundreds of macro bots repeat tasks to obtain game currency which will soon be sold for real money? It alters how the game works in a way that it grants an in-game advantage to those who use it. The fact that it is possible a macro manager may use the game gold for other forms of money is extraneous. The means to the end, be it winning, power, or cash, is what counts in the long run. Other forms of cheating in MMOs include password scamming and item scamming. The first one is basic. Don't give people your passwords, even as a silly-ass trust game. The latter is a more broad subject, but let's narrow it down quickly. A bad deal is not a scam. Let's talk RuneScape. Someone wanting to sell you a burnt lobster for 400,000 gold is not a scam. Someone telling you they have a magical black lobster in disguise as a burnt one that not only fully heals, but also grants a temporary health boost of 1,000 health, and they want to sell it for 400,000 gold, that's a scam. A bad scam that would be foolish to fall for, but a scam nonetheless. EVE Online defines a scam as what happens when someone takes advantage of your misplaced trust, temporary confusion, or ignorance of game rules, and robs you via legal in-game means. And I believe that is a good way to put it. Scamming is all about deception. Interestingly enough, EVE Online is not against scamming. They say it isn't rule-breaking, it just makes you a dick. Kind of like taking all the napkins at a fast food restaurant. Then there's external conduct. Bumping into your opponent, turning off the television screen, these are fairly obvious. But what about controllers with turbo options? Yes, they are mostly cheating, but no, I won't go on a tirade like I did with custom HUDs. If done with the consent of all parties, it is fine. Unlike custom HUDs, however, its appearance on an online game is very apparent and should be discouraged if people dislike it. Considering how easy it is for a computer to overcome humans in terms of input speed, I can infer whether or not most people will dislike it. If people cheat, honest players will become discouraged. Multiplayer game developers know this means less money lining the pockets and aim to punish these players. There's the traditional ban, but such a punishment has to be used with extreme precision to avoid targeting the innocent. RuneScape in particular had a pretty smart method of removing bots, random events. Every once in a while, a random character would appear, friendly or not so much. If you were human, you'd talk to the character or run, and you'd get goodies or live. If a computer was at the helm, the character would get angry from being ignored and teleport the bot to an area away from the macro's designated path, or would kill the bot, send it back to a spawn point, and again, throw it off its designated path. Eventually, this was removed when Jagex implemented what it calls bot watch software and a minigame where players poke fun at captured bots. What about glitch abuse or exploitations of flawed game design in multiplayer games? Here the water becomes especially murky. In online games like Smite, maintaining a solid gaming experience is vital to maintaining customers, so it's expected that if enough people complain about a certain issue, it will eventually be fixed. Using a currently overpowered god, if you wanted to argue it, could actually be beneficial to balance because more people complain about it and it gets fixed faster. Multiplayer games that do not update are a different issue. Star Fox Assault, for example, has Wolf O'Donnell as a hidden unlockable character and nobody ever wants to unlock him. Why? Because he's ridiculous in speed, health, just about everything. Again, though picking Meta Knight in Brawl isn't cheating since he's directly in the game, that action certainly won't win you many friends. Same with glitches, really. There are other nuances here and there, such as the use of strategy guides, walkthroughs, and temporary invincibility to cross hordes of enemies, but what I've established covers these. So to summarize, what counts as cheating and whether or not that action is a bad thing are two different topics. Think of it like a Punnett square between malice and cheating. In single player, it is pretty difficult to ascribe malice, as you can only cheat yourself out of the authentic gaming experience. Some game designers punish these cheaters, either for use of coded cheats or more creative methods for external modifications of the game. If it is an external change of the game itself that provides you with an advantage over others that do not perform the external change of the game itself, it's malicious cheating. This narrow definition makes it so that fiddling with the in-game options and using superior peripherals such as a stronger internet connection are not cheating, but macro bots do count as such. It's not the only definition of malicious cheating, since distracting a nearby opponent is not done in-game, but it covers a lot. If the external change has no effect on other players, such as a custom HUD simply with kitty faces, it only cheats you out of the authentic gaming experience, such as having the normal class face there, and therefore is not malicious. A bad deal is not a scam. A scam usually requires an action behind it other than an offer. Whether a scam is cheating or not is up to the game rules, provided the scamming happens in the game itself. Many things coded into the game are not cheating to use, but are so unreasonably favorable to the user that you will make as many friends as if you were cheating. That said, people can believe codes are not cheating and still not use them because of the benefits they can provide that detract from the original experience. Anything you want to add into the discussion? Let's hear it. I'm GamingTopTen, and I'll see you all in the brighter future.